Man, it's crazy seeing the car like this again without the fenders and everything on it. I kind of like the look of it, but it's probably the last time. It's not gonna have any fenders on it once the motor goes in. Just taking a second, stepping back, looking at it, cause the motor's ready. It's ready to go in. I think it's finally time. It's finally time to made up the engine and transmission. So just trying to make room because I just picked up the 2.4 liter turbo motor for the baby Bentley, aka the PT. So in order to unload that, I'm going to have to make some room in the garage. So the plan is get the 4.8 onto the 4L80, get that into the Monte. Do that, I think I'm going to just take off the front clip. So there's only like 2 bolts, and on each fender 2 or 3 bolts, and then the core support. So I think I'm going to take all that off, just make it nice, easy, get everything to slide in there. Once that's in the car, I'll be able to put the 6.0 on the engine stand. I'll be able to put the hood back on the Monte, and then I'll get the 2.4 liter in here somewhere, probably in that back corner once I have the room for it. Like I said, the motor transmission is going to go in there now, so I figured I probably have about 3 hours left of daylight. Still have the bright lights at the garage, so if it does get a little darker, I'm not too worried about it. But most of it I'll just throw it on a time lapse. It's pretty much just have to throw on the flywheel or the flex plate. So throw on the flex plate. I have the bolts and everything, got new bolts for it. Probably won't throw this lower port on so it's in the car. I have the bolts for the torque converter, and I think that's it. Just pretty much throw once the flex plate's bolted on, torque down, I'll be able to put the motor on the engine stand, hoist that up, connect it to the transmission, bolt all that up, and then pretty much slide it in. I'll leave this tail housing on yet. I haven't changed out the gaskets in it yet, but once it's under the car, I'll be able to swap those in, no problem. Because I think it's just 6 bolts, so that slides out, and be able to put the new gasket in, the new seal in the rear, and slide it back in. So that's the plan. Like I said, I'm going to throw you guys on a time lapse. So just taking the fenders off, that shouldn't be too long. I will take the headers and the crossover pipe off. Of course, the intake's not even bolted on, so that'll come off. And then I have my lift plate, so lift plate will go on, and we'll go from there. Alright, so we're to that step. We have the motor mounted to the transmission. Flex plate bolts are torqued down. The bell housing bolts are torqued down. Got these banjo bolts on there. They're just snug for now. Buddy Ernesto told me about these. Just makes it a lot easier. Instead of trying to throw the regular fitting on there and then put a AN fitting, these save a little bit of room because it's a tight fit in there with the 4L80 from what I heard. So these should help out. I have the transmission cooler and everything ordered, but for now they're just going in like this. That's about it. I've been making a mess, just trying to get this done while the sun's still out. You can see that mountain view. But yeah, so they're mated together. I don't think I forgot anything. Torque converter's in. I still have to pull the starter off the 6.0, so I'll get that. But for now, just going to leave it like that. And I know that with the engine stand, I might have to jack the car up, because it just, I believe the engine stand wants to hit the tires. So I'll jack the car up, I'll put it on jack stands, and I might have to remove the bumper reinforcement. Yeah, I think I'm gonna do that just to make it a lot easier on the install. It's what, 6 bolts. So I'm gonna take this bumper reinforcement off, jack the car up, and then I'm gonna toss the motor and transmission in. I do have the core support. I think it's on the other side of the Elco, or the cross member. So just went with the Summit brand. Like I said, I believe D's Life in one of his videos, he compared that and the G-Force 1, and it came out to be, I think, from the same manufacturer, just labeled different. But we're up to this point, and I apologize if there's some sun glare. I just had on the time lapse and everything, so I'm not sure how it's going to look. I tried to move the camera around a couple different angles with the time lapse, so it just wasn't one angle. Pretty boring, but it looks pretty good. I'm not sure if you guys could tell, but the red, like I said, just a little glossier on the motor than on the transmission, but at the end of the day, it's all good. And I decided with the wheel wells out, I could probably just keep the headers on there. They shouldn't affect anything, but I think I need to find, nope, I left them in there. So make sure to take these nuts and bolts off, or the nuts and bolts off on the engine mounts for when I try to set it in there. But yeah, that's just a little recap of what I've done so far. Like I said, I'm going to take the bumper reinforcement off just so I could get the motor and transmission in there a little bit farther without having to yeah, I'm really not wanting to extend the engine hoist too far with the motor and transmission there. If it's just the motor, I'd probably take it down to 1 ton, but, or half ton, but pretty sure it'll support the weight. But just to be safe, I'm gonna keep it on the 1 ton. But I'll throw you guys back on the time lapse, throw the camera on the charger, and get back to it. Man, it's crazy seeing the car like this again without the fenders and everything on it. I kind of like the look of it, but it's probably the last time it's not gonna have any fenders on it once the motor goes in. Just taking a second, stepping back, looking at it, because the motor's ready. It's ready to go in. But I'm not calling anybody out, but when I say everything has been touched on this car, everything has been touched on the car. A little dusty, but it's been gone over. Pretty much every nut and bolt. I think everything's been off the car except for the rear glass. But suspension, paint, body, underwork, or undercoating, wheels, tires, brakes, motor, transmission. From what this car started as to what it's going to be, man. But put the camera down and let's get the heart into Mona Lisa. Alright, so there we have it. A bit of help from my boy Brennan. Motor is in. Still have to get up underneath and throw the cross member in, but motor's all lined up with the motor mounts and everything. It's all still loose, so eventually I'll go through, tighten everything up, torque everything down, including the suspension. All that's loose. I didn't want to tighten any of that, so I got some weight in the car. But yeah, let me climb underneath. Might just throw the fronts on the ramps. Climb underneath, get the cross member in, and then either lower it or leave it on the ramps. I'll probably lower it once the cross member's in, but man, it's looking good in there. Did have to end up taking the headers off. The driver's side was hitting the brake booster. Once we removed that, it went in just flawlessly. So that being said, climb up under there, throw the cross member on, and we'll call it good. And that's what we're gonna call it a night. Just threw the cross member in, had those bolts finger tight. Like I said, I'll still have to remove the extension on the back of the transmission to put the seal in there. So I just left all that finger tight. Motor's in, lowered. You can already tell with the weight in there has dropped a little bit more. Springs, you hear them popping a little bit from settling. But tomorrow, probably come back, or maybe even tonight, make another video, just put the headers back on and just do some little stuff here and there.
Tonight.
Alright, so I was going to close out the other video, or this video, with what I already had recorded, but I decided to come back in the morning, or the next afternoon, and I just want to go over the major thing I've found so far. And I'll go over it in the next video a little bit more. But with this brake booster, the turbo header from the On3 kit does not clear. Can't even slide it in there. It's hitting the brake booster. So what I'm gonna go with is manual brakes. I'm gonna look into it a little bit more, but I just wanted to throw that in at the end of the video. Like I said, the next couple videos I'll probably be throwing them out back to back. Just because it's in there, through the fenders and everything back on. I still have to align the fenders and everything. I think adjust the motor just a little bit. To me it seems like it's off a little bit, but just slightly. So might call a buddy over and have him come double check and everything. But as far as clearance, a little bit back here. I think there's always a little bit more on the driver's side. But yeah, that's it for this one. Just want to go over that. Let you guys know the passenger side header does not clear the brake booster. But other than that, the motor and everything is in. Just needs a little tweaking, and I'll go over a little bit more in depth on the next one. But that's gonna be it for this one. I'm gonna come out, well, I'm gonna cut the camera back on, clean up the garage a little bit more and get organized, so I'll get my mind focus. All the clutter's kind of throwing me off, but I love the extra room I have up front now. I think the 6.0 and everything, well, the fenders and everything are back on, so I could probably throw the hood on, clean up that back area, give me access back there, get the 6.0 on the engine stand, and the motor for the PT out of the Blazer.